Our opening psalm for Shabbat L'chuna Ranana is on page 17. L'chuna Ranana l'Adonai Nariya L'tzur Ranena l'Adonai Nariya l'tzur yishenu Nekadma fanav v'toda Bizmirot nariya lo Lechu neranena l'Adonai Nariya l'tzur yishenu Nekadma fanav v'toda Bizmirot nariya lo Ki el gadol Adonai Melech gadol al kol Elohim Asher beyado mikere haaretz B'toavot harim lo Yalai la 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 Yalai la 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 V'toavot harim lo.
Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to Temple Emanu-El. I'm Rabbi Andy Kahn, joined on the bima by Cantor Mo Glasman, and up above us by our amazing choir and musicians. I'm so pleased to be here with you tonight, so pleased that you've chosen to join us tonight. This evening, we look towards the coming Hebrew month of Cheshvan. Cheshvan is known in Jewish circles as the month without any holidays, which is really helpful after this past month. This past month, we spent so much time reflecting on ourselves, on our past, on our future, on God, on the way that we connect to nature and fragility. And now, Cheshvan gives us the opportunity to act. Now that we have brought all of this wisdom forth from our sacred tradition and from the divine, we have an entire month with which to put it into action without interruption. So, as we begin the celebration of Shabbat this evening, I'm going to invite you to take a moment to reflect back on the past month. Think about one thing to take away from these holidays that you want to act on in this coming month of Cheshvan. And Cheshvan isn't our only thing to celebrate tonight. This weekend, we are blessed with 2 bar mitzvahs, and they're not just any average bar mitzvahs. They're both Cohens. They're both Kohanim, I believe unrelated unless you go all the way back to the temple. But that means that they both come from the priestly line. And what a wonderful way to start this Cheshvan, with welcoming the Cohen families up to light our Shabbat candles.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu להדליק נר של שבת.
So Jack and Lewis, as we do with all B'nai Mitzvah, here to present you with a couple gifts. Come on over. Each B'nai Mitzvah at our synagogue receives a Kiddush cup from our men's club and women's auxiliary, and then each also receives a certificate showing that no matter who asks, they have the signatures of the Emanu-El clergy backing them up that they have become bar mitzvah. So you've already got it, but you still have to show up tomorrow and come through the ritual. So thank you guys so much for coming up. Thank you for being here. And thank you for committing to the Jewish people and our community. Now I invite the congregation to please rise for the Baruch Hu on page 55.
את אדוני המבורך
Please be seated. This week, we begin reading the Torah again from the beginning. And the first letter of the first word is Bet, the Bet of Bereshit. And Bet is the second letter of the Hebrew alphabet. And our rabbis of ancient days wondered, why does it begin with the second letter, not the first letter of the alphabet, Aleph? They discovered the answer, or maybe an answer, which is the revelation at Sinai of the Torah, of the 10 Commandments, to all of the Israelites. The first word is Anochi. God says, I. That word begins with Aleph, the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet. Today, we can't really pronounce Aleph, at least most Ashkenazim can't. Some Mizrahim still pronounce the guttural of the Aleph. It's a small guttural click. And a Hasidic rabbi once taught that sound, that click, was an echo of creation, the echo of the beginning of all of the universe as the Torah was revealed at Sinai. And that click, that echo of the Aleph was heard by all of the Israelites. And by extension, as our Torah tells us, all of us, all of our souls were there as well. All of us heard that click, that beginning of revelation from God. And all of us can still hear it now. I invite you to please rise as we read together in Hebrew and English the Shema, the commandment to listen for that click of creation. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ולכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Continue responsibly on page 58. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, a world waiting still to be redeemed, give us the courage to say, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare God's glory. May earth reveal God's justice and God's love. From Egypt, the house of bondage, we were delivered. At Sinai, amid peals of thunder, we bound ourselves to God's purpose. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, we survived oppression and exile, time and again overcoming the forces that would have destroyed us. Our failings are many, our faults are great, yet it has been our glory to bear witness to our God and to keep alive in dark ages the vision of a world redeemed. May this vision never fade. Let us continue to work for the day when nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we sing with one accord, as Israel sang at the shores of the sea.
Yada da 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 yada da 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 yada da 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 yada da da yada da 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 yada da 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 yada da da da. Mi chamocha b'nim Adonai, mi kamocha netar b'kodesh, lo rati lo osefele, osefele. Malchutcha ra'u banecha, tokeyam livnei Moshe u'Miriam. Malchutcha ra'u banecha, tokeyam livnei Moshe. Adonai imlo le'olam le'olam va'ed. Yada lai 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 yada lai 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 yada lai 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 yada lai lai yada lai 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 yada lai lai lai. כיפת אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל. Yada die 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 yada die 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 yada die 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 yada die yada die 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 yada die die. Amen, amen.
The shadows fall, but end of day fills the eye with brightness. The infinite heavens glow, and all creation sings its hymn of glory. With hope, therefore, we pray for light within. O God, reveal yourself. Hide no more. Let your face shine on all who seek you. Eternal and infinite God, banish our darkness. Be present to us as the sudden light that lifts the heart and brings us joy. Then shall we be at peace, O God, whose peaceful shelter we seek through all the days and nights of our lives.
ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת, ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת, וקורא עונג ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת. המקדשי שביעי, כולם יספרו ויתענגו מטובך, ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת, ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת. וקורא עונג ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת. והשביעי רצית בו וקידשתו, חמדת ימים אותו קראת, זכר למעשה בראשית. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת, ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת. וקורא עונג ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת, ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת, ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת.
Please rise for the Amidah on page 60.
Adonai sefati tiftach ufi agite hilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, Elohei Rachel. האל הגדול הגיבור הנורא, אל עליון גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לפני בניהם למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה.
O world where miracles spring up to meet us along the way, we hold you close and give thanks for morning light, for evening calm. Sun and moon, sea and sky, snow and mist, city streets and country lanes, what joy to know you, how excellent to touch you. To live and nothing more would be enough to make us glad, yet morning, noon, and night a task awaits us. The lost and hungry to be found and fed, the sick and sad to be healed and cheered, a peaceful world to be kept. Blessed is the gift of life. Blessed is the source of life and its tasks. You may be seated. So we continue on page 63. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. May this day fulfill its promise. There are many who still search for this promise to be fulfilled. Many who have an illness, some kind of problem plaguing them, be it of the mind, the body, or the spirit. If there's anyone who's close to your heart this evening in need of healing of just such an issue, I invite you to share their name aloud now, even if it is your own. We continue with our prayer for healing on page 83.
שברך אבותינו, אברהם, יצחק ויעקב. מי שברך אמותינו, שרה רבקה לאה ורחל. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well. Bless us with the power of your healing. Bless us with the power of your hope. May our hearts be filled with understanding and strengthened by the power of your love. Mi sheberach avotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak, v'Yaakov. מי שברך אמותינו, שרה רבקה לאה ורחל. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well. Hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer.
We continue silently with the prayers of our own hearts.
The Torah begins, when God was about to create heaven and earth, the earth was a chaos, unformed, and on the chaotic water's face there was darkness. Then God's Spirit collided over the face of the waters, and God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. Here we are, dear friends, at the beginning of another cycle of Torah reading, rich in metaphor, parsed by generations of scholars. The book of Genesis takes us to the very first moments of creation. And while Genesis has little to tell about our scientific origins, it has a great deal of content about God's relationship to the world and about human beings and their destiny. Modern composer Shirona was someone who discovered her destiny was to compose Jewish music. She found inspiration in the opening words of Genesis, and her love of folk music, combined with her texturally diverse voice, brought musical life to biblical verse. The composition you just heard was aptly titled Bereshit, meaning in the beginning, and is the first song on her album, Judaic Love Songs, which contains original settings of prayer and biblical texts. How exciting for a secular Israeli singer to find her calling in the American cantorate. Her piece, beautifully arranged by Jonathan Commissar. In the next few chapters of Genesis, we encounter themes of responsibility, temptation, human frailty, and ego. These themes remain throughout the entirety of the Torah, but this week's portion offers us the first look. A mere 4 chapters in, we scroll to the story of Cain and Abel, brothers who clashed over inheritance and property, and perhaps over a woman and theology as well. The Torah teaches us that Cain brought a modest offering to God from the fruit of his harvest, which paled in comparison to the thoughtful offering of a full-grown sheep by Abel. God favored Abel's sacrifice, and pardon my mixed livestock metaphor, but this may have been the straw that broke the camel's back, as Cain soon thereafter committed fratricide. He killed his own brother. After the murder, he fled from the fields, from the ghost of his dead brother, from his conscience, and ultimately tried to escape from himself. In Vayimelech Cain, Yaakov Shabbatai's lyrics and Yechezkel bronze music illuminates Cain's tormented psyche and describes his escape. Joseph Butel and Dominic Inferreira join me as we give voice to a terrified Cain in this electrifying male trio. Vayimelech Cain, Vayimelech Cain, Cain.
Vayimelech Cain אל השדות, ועל מצחו האות, ועל ידיו הדם, בשם אביו אדם, ויאמרו לו, לך.
אלוהים, אלוהים, לאן ואני אדם.
וימלט קין אל החיות, וימלט קין אל החולות,
וימלט קין אל השדות, ועל מצחו האות, ועל ידיו הדם, בשם אביו אדם, ויאמרו לו,
לך.
Elohim, le'an va'ani Adam.
וימלט קין
וימלט קין אל ההרים,
וימלט
וימלט קין
קין
אל הימים, וימלט קין אל החיות, וימלט קין, וימלט קין אל השדות, ועל מצחו האות, ועל ידיו הדם, ושם אביו אדם, ויאמרו לו,
לך
אלוהים, אלוהים, לאן ואני אדם.
וימלט קין למעלות, וימלט
וימלט קין ליערות, וימלט קין קין, וימלט קין אל ההרים, וימלט קין אל הימים, וימלט קין אל החיות, וימלט קין, וימלט קין אל השדות, ועל מצחו האות, ועל ידיו הדם, ושם אביו אדם, ויאמרו לו,
לך
אלוהים, 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 לאן ואני אדם. וימלט קין, וימלט קין קין. In the next few chapters of Genesis, we encounter themes of responsibility, temptation, human frailty, and ego. And as Ecclesiastes teaches us, let your words be few, and only a fool multiplies words. The rabbinic Mishnaic teacher Avtalion taught his students, "You who are wise, be careful of your words." These lessons in verbal restraint would have been helpful for Adam and Eve to learn before they were banished from the Garden of Eden. After they had eaten fruit from the forbidden tree of knowledge and were about to be punished by God, they made things worse for themselves by being too verbose for their own good. You see, they blamed each other for what had happened and made excuses for eating the fruit. Adam blamed God for creating Eve, and Eve blamed the serpent for tricking her. And no one was willing to take responsibility. It's such a common human experience, even to this day, that it's frankly almost comical. So in searching for songs about Adam and Eve, I came across one that I couldn't resist sharing with you. It comes from an unlikely source. The Canadian Lebanese superstar Paul Anka. His song, Adam and Eve, was composed in 1969 and has a playful feel that offers a tongue-in-cheek interpretation of this biblical story. In the Garden of Eden, a long time ago, there was a story I'm sure you all know. I'm sure you remember, I know you believe, the story of Adam and Eve. In the Garden of Eden, where life began, yes, the very beginning of woman and man. I'm sure you remember and know you believe the story of Adam and Eve. There within the garden was they both fell in love, sheltered by the guiding hand of the one above. Life was filled with happiness until one day arose a very great temptation, but you know how it goes. In the Garden of Eden, a long time ago, there was a story I'm sure you know. I'm sure you remember and know you believe the story of Adam and Eve. In the Garden of Eden, a long time ago, there was a story I'm sure you know. I'm sure you remember and know you believe the story of Adam and Eve. The story of Adam and Eve. From chaos to creation, from conflict to consequence, and from temptation to responsibility. The first chapter of the first book of the Torah is rife with ethical lessons. Well before modern science, Jews realized that the purpose of the Torah was not to tell us how the world was physically created, but to help us understand the world and the wonder of its creation. The Torah is not a lesson in evolution, and it neither supports nor contradicts scientific theories. It does, however, proclaim that human beings are partners with God in preserving and advancing the precious gift of life. As the psalmist reminds us, the heavens belong to God, but the earth God gave to humanity. My prayer for all of us is that we find new ways to appreciate this precious gift of humanity and to continue to celebrate the very miracle of our existence. Shabbat Shalom.
Please rise for the Elenu on page 139.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסר הארץ, ומושב עיקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת עוזו בגבהי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ.
page 145. To open eyes when others close them, to hear when others do not wish to listen, to look when others turn away, to seek to understand when others give up, to rouse oneself when others accept, to continue the struggle even when one is not the strongest, to cry out when others keep silent. To be a Jew, it is first of all that, and further to live when others are gone, and to remember when others have forgotten. This evening, our community remembers the lives of these loved ones who died in recent days or at this time in years past. Milton S. Ahrens, Larry Ayers, Leah Barr, Raymond Bygar, William Bykoff, Eileen Book, Leslie A. Cooper, Francis Edelson, Manny Elgisser, Louise Feingold, Ray Friedman, Emanu-El Gauser, Elizabeth Goldstein, Lillian Greenberg, Charlotte D. Jacobs, David Roger Kahn, Gerda Kelly, Edward Kittredge, Melvin Kosofsky, Fred Landy, Dorothy Leaf, George Ross, Joyce Sanders, Rose Schlossberg, Bernard Siegfried, Ivan K. Strauss, Robert Tooby, Joan Kramer Tucker, Philip Weinstein, Jack Weiss, Edward Whiteson, Moishe Wertheim, and Beatrice Zuckerman. We remember with you and invite you to rise if you are mourning a recent loss. We remember with you and invite you to rise if you're commemorating a yahrzeit, the anniversary of a loved one's death. We rise as one community and pray as one community. Kaddish Yatom on page 145. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'alma divrach yiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mivarach le'olam olmeo maya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudashah b'richu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'el kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Hosei shalom b'imromav, Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the source of peace on high send peace to all who mourn and comfort all who are bereaved. As we say together, Amen. You may be seated. Shabbat Shalom once again, and Mazel Tov once again to Jack and Lewis and all of the Cohens. Temple Emanu-El is a house of prayer for all who would worship with us in peace. A few announcements before we conclude. Tomorrow is Torah study at 9:15, and Shabbat worship continues at 10:30. Sunday at 11, the Men's Club hosts a discussion about the Biden presidency and the 2022 midterm elections with Robert F. O'Donnell. Monday at 7 p.m., join us for Talking Texas, Abortion Rights and Jewish Law. Tuesday at 4 p.m., Young Families Baby Bop with us will meet, and our Young Families Toddler group will meet Monday and Wednesday at 9 a.m. On Thursday, the Men's Club Book Group will meet at 10, and our support group for the Dorot generation will meet at 11. At 2 p.m., our Meditation Circle will meet. This week, the Stryker Center is offering many programs, one with author Alice Hoffman. Psychologists Steven Pinker will speak on rationality, and psychologist David Destino will speak on God. And there will also be a panel on holding white nationalists accountable in America. As always, please tune in Sunday through Thursday at 5:30 for our virtual daily sunset service. And for more information about these events and so much more, please head to our website, EmanuelNYC.org. Hope to connect with you soon and often. One last note for those of us worshiping with us in person, please leave your prayer books at your seat when you exit after the final benediction. Thank you so much for being with us this Shabbat. Continue on page 147 with Kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kirishanu b'mitzvotav v'rata banu, v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava u'v'ratzon hinchilanu, zikaron למעשה בראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקרא קודש, זכר ציד מצרים. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat.
Please rise and join us on page 153 for our closing song, Adon Olam.
Adon Olam Hashem malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra, le'nasa v'chefso kol azai melech שמו נקרא, ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא, והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה. והוא אחד ואין שני, להמשירו להכפירה, בלי ראשית בלי תכלית, ולא העוז והמצרה. בידו אבקיד רוחי וראיתי שמן ועירה, ועם רוחי גביעתי אדוני לי ולא יברכך אדוני וישמרך.
May God bless you and keep you.
יאר אדוני פניו אליך ויחונקה.
May the light of God's countenance shine upon you and be gracious to you.
Isa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom, shalom.
May you feel God's presence watching over you. May it bring you peace.